Welcome back. It's still VOP this morning on Voice of the People Television. Now to the major topic of discussion this morning. Suspected armed headers killed 13 people in separate attacks on Benue communities that happened on Sunday. 12 people were killed in Eguma, Agatu, and one person was killed in Gwe West. One displaced person was injured, and 5 others are missing. A lawmaker, Godwin Edo, confirmed the attacks. He criticized claims of peace in the area, asserting that the killings continue and the villages have been deserted for nearly a year. And this information is coming out just when we heard last month that a particular man, Full Fire in Benue State, teamed up with armed headers and levying or taxing the people of Benue State to pay 20 million naira or else they'll be attacked. And this is making people who happen to be the food basket of the nation, those who are cultivating now, to look for a way to sell off their farm produce. Some families are saying we have to raise 50,000. Some are saying 100,000 for them to be able to contribute to, be able to pay off the money. Even one of the chairmen of the local government came up to talk about this, affirming that such thing is happening in Benue State. And we have with us this morning a man who is a retired member of Nigeria Armed Forces, okay, and also he's an ambassador. We call him Ambassador Dr. Omai Roy Okidievie. Good morning to you, Ambassador Roy.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure.
Good to have you in today's show. How are you doing? How is the U.S.?
Well, I'm first and foremost, I want to get you a form to join the military because your composure and your countenance have shown that you are an officer.
I'm already on that. It's okay. I accept.
It's a good thing, Ambassador, that you did mention that she has to really join the military. And for some of us, we just continue our broadcasting job. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you so very much for being here, Ambassador Roy.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to it almost immediately. At this point, we know how much insecurity is becoming so very endearing to us as Nigerians. What do you think the government at this point is not doing right to have allowed these go on and on and on?
Thank you very much. This is not a joking matter, okay? So let me first apologize for throwing that prank, but actually I can see that she has been worked up and she mentioned that she's careful about her mental health.
Yeah.
So many people are careful about their mental health. So many people are constrained beyond their available capacity that they know that they can deploy to curtail the insecurity around their environment, but they are constrained. And that constraint is what you people were discussing earlier, but we need to dig into it deeper.
Are you there, Ambassador Roy?
I'm with you.
No, this is not the first time. This is not the first time there have been attacks in Benue State. Agatu, to be precise, in 2016 was attacked. There was a massacre in that area after the farmer headers clashed. And then, just last month, we also heard that the impunity, the guts in which some people, the headers and even some of the terrorist people that managed to get to Benue State now are operating is something else. And then we have the service chiefs still there, and the president have already given them vote of confidence saying that, they are doing well. No one actually is calling into question. And Nigeria is spending a lot of money in buying so many weapons to help fight terrorism or bandits and all that in Nigeria. Why are we still having these, killings reoccur? People are now living as fugitives in Nigeria, IDP camps, and also being sacked. And then no one is really saying something about this. Where does this leave Nigeria as our food basket now is being attacked? Where does it leave Nigeria?
Let me tell you something about Benue State. For your information, Benue State has a large number of members of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Benue State has a large member of the police. Benue State has a large member, Benue citizens, indigenes. They are interested in security agencies, and Incidentally, also, I served in Benue State for a short while when I was in the Army Bomb School. We have a school there called NASME, Nigerian Army School of Military Engineers. And that school have a bomb training institute. And in all of those caliber, we go into the town, we go into the forest, we go into the bushes. So to a large extent, we have traversed both the policed and the unpoliced areas in the course of training and training personnel in different batches. Now, one other thing that you need to know is that the youths of Benue State, they are active when it comes to their local disgruntlement. If you see the Tiv and the Jukun fight, you will hear that 20 people were killed, 30 people were killed.
Right.
But it pains me when I hear that headsmen just walk into a place and killed and carried 150 people. Don't forget, when the former governor was there, they arrested more than 28 people. It's still on the media. You can Google it.
Yes, yeah.
And the president insisted and demanded that the IG should report them.
That brings me to the other question I want to ask you about. Is Nigeria really working on ending this issue of insecurity, whereby we have, this is the 8th edition, according to the Special Advisor on Security Matters in Borno State, talking about reintegration of Boko Haram suspects back into the society. We're finding a way to curb insecurity. But now we have people who have actually killed and done some other, terrorist act being reintegrated back in our society. Is that really helpful?
We are all guilty. We are all guilty. Let me tell you, where I was going to hammer on the media and journalism and investigative journalism. Those people that were arrested and taken in handcuffs, leg and hand, and the governor, Autumn, was crying on TV, and they showed those people being taken to court. Where are they? Where are the journalists that covered it? Where did they move the vehicle to? Who followed up that story until were they clamped down? Were the journalists arrested? That is for journalism. Then look at judiciary. The judiciary has been a very big disappointment in Nigeria. The judiciary itself is the one creating loopholes and escape avenues for criminals in Nigeria. We now have plea bargain. Don't forget. We now have a lot of de-radicalization terminologies, and the security agencies, they arrest people. Recently, the EFCC man have said, he's also in the media, that he's tired of arresting people and they go to court and they walk away with a small bail. So the judiciary is culpable. Another area that is culpable is we, the voting masses, the people we vote for. Then you now look at the National Assembly people. People in National Assembly, when they enter that assembly and they make rules and regulations and they approve and disapprove and they assent to bills, don't they go back home to the people that voted them into power? If what you are doing there is not favorable, you come back and we'll recall you. There is no recall, there is no agitation, there is no right founding. We are giving peanuts and we keep quiet. The people that die are the military men, the police officers, and unfortunately, these are the guys in the front line, and these are the guys that arrest these people, take them to the government. The government creates a place called de-radicalization. As a soldier, my colleagues were killed, and I am deployed to go and protect the person that killed my colleagues. And I see him being fed with chicken, given red wine, and a better welfare. And the people that were displaced are kept in a place you call IDP camp, where they are raped, they are malnourished, and they are exposed to all kinds of drug abuse situations and all kinds of welfare situations. Now, ask me this question. Who voted the government into place? Who should ask the government to answer questions? Malami went out of Nigeria, came back in the airport. He said he has been given a list of all the people and organizations that were involved in terrorism in Nigeria. He served his tenure. He even tried to become a presidential candidate. And today, he's enjoying his looted funds from government coffers. Nobody's asking him questions. EFCC is pursuing other kinds of people everywhere.
Ambassador, it's quite interesting that you did mention this. And I was going to call your attention to statements being credited to former Chief of Staff. I'm talking about Major General Tukur Burantai, saying that whoever is seeking agitation out of Nigeria should go and throw themselves into the ocean. Now, as a former retired person, and then when he was the Chief of Army Staff, did you think he had hands-on power to tackle this insecurity?
Burata, look, Nigeria, if you are talking about hands-on capability to tackle insecurity, the Nigerian military that I know, give us 2 days. 2 days, Nigerian military, give us 2 days. Most of us can even reimburse, okay, because we have our colleagues there and they can request for our capability. Every one of us have capability.
What would you then say? Sorry, Barrister, I'm going to continue with this. What would you then say is the reason why the Nigerian army that we know is presently not even looking like they have a tooth or a teeth to bite anymore?
No, I'm getting there. You see, most of these things that we are discussing now, it is not a template discussion. Before you got into puberty, all of these situations have already gotten derailed. Okay, so when Buratai was there, in his tenure, he prepared himself for exit. That's why you see some of them were giving ambassador and all that. Some of these things are distraction to the service chiefs that they fail to be institutionalized and professional. Even the SDA, Security Department Allowance, that was supposed to be given to soldiers, what the Buratai set arranged was for it to be paid to their own set as they exited, and they left veterans to be fighting for their own rights. So these are people that do not capture the military as an encompassing body. So whatever they do is to prepare themselves for exit. So I don't enjoy
Buratai
talking
did a
about
good
them.
job while he was the Chief of Armed Staff in tackling insecurity in Nigeria? Do you think he did a good job? Recall he was the one who actually moved with the team to go to Nnamdi Kanu's house to raid his house, which also led to the death of so many people.
Whatever Buratai did in his time is in record. Okay, to me, there is no military regime that has done a good job or can be able to do a good job when the political system has kidnapped the abilities to take military decisions from them. Every military officer that you see being given Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, has been promoted over his superiors.
Now,
and his superiors have been retired, and the subordinates are not loyal to him because he serves the political class. So you can't say these people are efficient or not efficient because there are no results to show.
All right, let's bring it to the formal administration of, well, he was at the time ex-general. I'm talking about President Muhammadu Buhari. He was in the military. Would you also say that at the time, he also was not concerned about the lives of Nigerians, not to talk of the lives of the people that have been in service? Of course, the same place he's coming from. I'm talking about the military.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in his first tenure as a military officer, everybody enjoyed his strictness and adherence to rule of law. In his second coming, he has faced so many will I call it blackmail, or his failures has actually blackmailed his trust for his capabilities. One of the areas where I discovered that President Muhammadu Buhari's coming back lacked emotional empathy was when we fought for minimum wage for veterans. President Muhammadu Buhari was a veteran, the Minister of Defense was a veteran, the NSA was a veteran. They were in their offices looking through their window, seeing us on the street under the rain, protesting for minimum wage, which they can give a veto bill. And when the alert came, they got alert for that protest. And they could not also capture the other reasons veterans were protesting. And they got out. You see, these guys have lost emotional empathy. So they cannot focus on the things that bedevil people of their own constituency, which is the military veteran. How then can you get loyalty from serving troops when they know that as they exit, they will also join us begging for their daily bread on the streets?
Bringing it back again to the table of former military, I'm happy that you're actually military personnel. Now, when we look at Borno State, we found out that the person happens to be the advisor to Babagana Zulum on security matters, happened to be Brigadier General Abdullahi Sabi Ishak. And is it that he's not aware of the implication of giving this word? Because according to his word, it says, in his own term, he's saying that those Boko Haram repentant people, according to him, that have been sent to be de-radicalized should immediately be accepted in the society. They should attend function in the society. As a former brigadier general, is it that he couldn't see the impact of what that reintegration is going to do to the people who have had their loved ones killed, taken away, even young girls being raped and all that? And now that we have the former COAS, Buratai, talking about people who don't like what is happening in Nigeria should take a trip to Atlantic Ocean. Do you really think that the military, as it is now, are working in tandem with the betterment of Nigerians?
Let me first talk about the military advisor. Okay? A military advisor that addresses insecurity will immediately fail. A military advisor is supposed to address security parameters, because it is security parameters that curtail and neutralizes insecurity. So it is a pattern. If you go for insecurity, you are reacting. If you go for security parameters, you are proacting and presenting preventive measures. So when you talk about him talking about the people that were arrested, he has immediately lost it, because he is now looking at the case instead of what created the case. And religion, politics, and tribe, those are the three parameters that destroy our interests as professional office holders. So if you are a professional office holder and they bring a case and it relates to Islam or Christianity, it relates to APC or PDP, or it relates to Hausa, Igbo, or Yoruba, you must immediately remove yourself and present the case on a security and assessment level that must be neutral. My grandmother is Ijebu, my mother is Fulani from Kaduna, my father is Edo, and I married from the East. So somebody like me in the military again, where else would that be except to be balanced? So if you look at yourself as a Nigerian, you must remove yourself. If he has done that, he would not have been profiling a neutral ground for those people. He would have pushed them to the detention center, from there to the courts, and from there to the criminal justice system.
Interesting. Well, I was going to come to you on the fact that is the military, as it stands, is the military sabotaging anyway? Well, you did mention earlier that because of the political nature of the country, that has limited the military. But then you want to ask questions like, why then would the military choose to de-radicalize criminals, because of course the government has proscribed the Boko Haram group as terrorists, why then would the military accept to de-radicalize these people who have been caught by them? One. Secondly, why isn't there some level of intelligence used by the military to curtail the insecurity in Nigeria? And then thirdly, why also is the military not talking to the fact that when they went raiding the house of Nnamdi Kanu, the same thing is not done to some people who have said several things as against the government? Please help Nigerians make sense of these questions.
Let me start from here. Now, I want to assure you that immediately you mentioned the military not being professional. I am a strategist and I use history as part of my strategy. Now, look back to when we had military regimes in Nigeria. For that period of time, the police lost all their capabilities because the military must and should not empower the police to be effective and come and be a counter agency and begin to attack them. So there was no support from the military. In fact, when people have cases, they go and call a soldier. You know, you have land case, you have anything, you don't go to the police station, you go and call a soldier. Now, when the civilians wanted to come back to power, Am I connected?
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So when the civilians wanted to come back to power, it is these same Nadeco people. They are still the ones in power. The current president was arrested and all of them were detained. You know, so they decided that this same military must be neutralized. I was saying this thing all the time in the barrack when I was in the military, that all this dilapidation that we see, all this abuse of the military that we see, all this coming to take a junior officer to head a position and retire all the senior officers, these are strategies to demobilize, demoralize, and disintegrate the military. And they thought I was joking. But today, the civilians that are in power must make sure the military becomes a puppet so that they don't repeat the coup d'etat that they have been seeing.
So you think this is a deliberate act?
It is a strategy. It's in the whole world.
So where does this leave Nigeria military now in the face of other nations internationally?
It's a puppet. The military is currently a puppet in the hands of the puppeteers. Okay, I talked about the manipulators and the manipulated some time ago in one of my broadcasts. The military you have now cannot deploy professional military strategy. It must be constrained by what the political juggernauts agree to. And if you don't take time, you will be dumped immediately. Look at Arase, the chief of police staff, that was just thrown out. So because you will see that every officer wants to exit into a comfort zone. So if you are opportune to be there, you behave yourself, or else you lose all the opportunities that your predecessors have. Like Buratai, there was a case, they found money in a house that was connected to him. He ran back to Nigeria as an ambassador. And before we know what was happening, the whole thing died a natural death. So we must be careful not to believe that we have the military that some of us serve. And that is why the veterans are saying, any day we are coming out for protest, we are fearless. Why? We can disarm these guys that are currently in your uniform. Because Nigerian military right now is a press button situation that is very disadvantaging and very, very...
now that a lot of people are clamoring for protests, some Nigerians are saying that they don't want to continue being led by bad governments, and some people are also talking about the issue of untold hardship. In Nigeria now we have a new term that we call it multidimensional poverty. It's happening already in Nigeria, okay? And now, do you think that the warnings being issued out by the police and the military, talking about how people shouldn't go about this protest, is it that this present administration or the government at large is scared of the reaction of Nigerians Or is it more like they want us not even to let our voice heard by the international community?
The current government is not scared about protest. Let me tell you something. The people that we protest in Nigeria are already being fed with political stipend.
We have the
Okay?
NSAS, which happened in 2020. And with that singular
The
NSAS, we were able to curb the issue of police brutality in Nigeria. It happened also in Kenya, where the people they rise up to protest about their financial bill and how they are being subjected to high taxes. Bring it back to Nigeria. Do you also still think that the possibility of that protest is not going to come up?
Save this video. Save this video. A protest in the NSAS. I was on air throughout. Go and Google my name and NSAS. I even did specialized videos. The NSAS was hijacked by who? Who do you think hijacked the NSAS? Who do you think destroyed the opportunity for the NSAS?
Tell us,
Who
sir.
do you think? So now the police themselves, they were also interested in that.
Ambassador, maybe you tell us who you thought.
I'm getting there. I'm not a press button narrative. If you go on air, you will see everything I say. I'm fearless. Okay, but I don't initiate assumptions.
Right.
To initiate assumption is not professional. Okay. Now, if you want a protest in Nigeria, your protest must be designed to survive certain agitated moves. Look at the people coming out for the religious protest for the man that was locked up in Abuja in the north.
Shiites
They killed
in
them
Kaduna.
anyhow. Yeah, it does not have a focus. So what is the focus of this, and who are the driving forces? Who do they belong to? During elections, the people in the driving forces, who do they belong to? Carry your camera and go there if there is a protest tomorrow and find out, is it designed to fulfill a goal? Is the government angle there? Because a protest must have people that are negotiating behind. We have conducted protests in the veteran community. We have shut down the military pension board, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Defense. We have shut them down. Why? Because there are carrot and stick method in protest. You can't be burning down, killing people, maiming people, and without a discourse pattern. And you think you are protesting, it becomes a street hazard situation. Now, if you want to conduct a youth process, do you see what's happening in Kenya? What's happening in Kenya is not even neat enough. Because in Nigeria, we have more capabilities. We have youths that are more organized. But because of the political infiltration of the system, the youths were the ones stealing ballots. The youths were the ones stabbing people at rallies. The youths were the ones breaking your cameras to you, journalists, to at political rallies. The youths that we have today, they are already staged to be collecting stipend from these people. Just few of them are ready to say no. That few that are ready to say no, the majority that are going to follow the politicians will be used to fight the ones that are ready to say no. And you'll be shocked that Nigerian youths are killing Nigerian youths instead of Nigerian youths joining Nigerian youths to fight for
Ambassador Roy, it's interesting you did mention the youth getting infiltrated because of stipends by the political class. Now, the fact that some groups have come out to call on some houses to not get involved in this protest because they believe that it is orchestrated by the Fulanis who, quote unquote, do believe that it is their right to be in power. And because they are not in power right now, they would have to do everything humanly possible to destabilize the government. Do you share the opinion of these Hausa youths asking that their fellow Hausa young persons do not succumb to the pressure of some Fulanis infiltrating and saying things like this government is not working? Do you share that as well?
Every tribe has a youth angle. It started from the universities, okay, where you say aluta, aluta, aluta. So when they come out and they don't have jobs and they see that they are disadvantaged in everywhere, they form organizations and they form youth gangs, youth groups, and some of them are respectable, some of them are less respectable. Now, the ones that are respectable, they profile arguments and they push those arguments forward. Now, if those arguments are to favor their tribe or their religion, it has a focus for discourse. Why? Because if there are youths for Hausa, there should be youths for Igbo, there should be youths for Yoruba, and it becomes easy. You just run a town hall and make sure you bring the youths to a organized discussion platform and begin to pick harnessing like points and bring them together and begin to address it. But you will be shocked that as you are seated there, there are some people that see a bag of money and everybody is getting $5,000 each. And you think they are agitating for Hausa. Another group will be set up to show that they are agitating for Yoruba nation. Another group will be set up to show that they are agitating for Igbo. They are all being funded by one person.
Interesting.
Who is a strategic organizer. And the whole country, even you media, you'll be carrying the news. But at the end of the day, they always say we are not fighting again. And the person in charge will still be in government.
All right, while we wrap this up, Ambassador, a question is going to come from me, and of course, my colleague is going to ask you the next question. Now, the question here is, do you believe that religious and ethnic divide is another major instrument, as a former military, it's another major instrument that has consistently fueled our insecurity as Nigerians? That's one. Second question, there's been cases of military, troops, and of course, there have been cases of them being, I want to use the word, saying that they've arrested terrorists. And after the arrest, there is a call from above for such release of these people that have been arrested. Is there the possibility that these military guys have been infiltrated by some bad eggs? And is there anyone that you believe at this point, any of these guys that is fanning insecurity in Nigeria?
Definitely. Every organization, civil service, everywhere you gather people, in the church, in the mosques, there are the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay? Now, but my experience in the military is this. There was a time we were at the front line and we had the Hausa guy, the Igbo guy, the Muslim, the Christian. When the Muslim guys are praying, the guys that are Christians and not Muslims, they are on arms guard. They are protecting. You will be shocked. In a vehicle that is driven by a Muslim military man, the guy at the back is a Christian. Let us even say he's a pastor. And the one driving the military vehicle is an imam. If that pastor falls down at the back, the driver will stop the vehicle and make sure that guy in box, even if the enemy will kill him. That is the military that I know. Look, you will be shocked of the cohesion of a military team beyond ethnic, religious, or whatever. But when we are talking about the country now and situations running in the country, once it becomes a religious matter, it is still our reasonable leaders that have access to funds, to liberty, to grace and grandeur that gives this opportunity to people to abuse the polity. In all of this, you guys have not talked about the judiciary. The judiciary is the one that's supposed to apply punitive measures. The NBA, Nigerian Bar Association, after the disgraceful bar election they did last time, that they invited, yes, I'm coming. Now they just held to ransom the IG of police when he published this 1,000 naira for the vehicle monitoring something. And the IG withdrew it.
All right, Ambassador Roy, we're running out of time, and I know we have to have this conversation. We'll have to have this conversation some other time. Now, just in less than 60 seconds, we need you to give us your concluding thought as you also, answer this. As a strategist, you just told us that you're a strategist now. What do you think this nation should do for us to, regain back sanity as regards the security we have in Nigeria? It's more like the present administration don't really, it's like they are trying to help us curb the issue of insecurity, but some Nigerians are really frowning on that. Imagine creating another ministry of livestock development and making it look like it's going to help to end the header farmer clashes, which has actually resulted to death of 13 again in Benue State. What do you think Nigerians need to do?
What we need in Nigeria now is to have a Chief Justice of the Federation that will address cases of a span. He can say, since the last 10 years, bring all the cases. Let's give it judicial attention, bereft of tribe, religion, or any kind of party affiliation. Then the next thing you have is to make the military, the police very attractive. If you go to universities, you will see people that read criminology and security studies. If you pay them 200,000 minimum pay, you will get a lot of them come into the police as educated Nigerians that will exude patriotism. The next thing that the government needs is the procurement system sanitization. You heard what Oshomele was asking in the military procurement. You heard what they answered him. Everybody said nay. Now, the procurement system does not give us opportunity to quickly harness the dynamics of appropriate weaponry and deployment of technology. And this brings us back against the bandits and the terrorists that we are fighting. The other thing that you look at finally is the exit plan of every agency. If I know I'm a police officer, a DPO, and when I leave, I have a house, my children have free school, I have medical, what will make me if not my village people are pursuing me? Now, if you also look at the military people themselves, if I am sure that my exit plan is secure as a veteran, I will not be begging my children will be safe. Then I will give my best as I already do, and I will come out meritoriously. That is what Nigeria should be targeting.
Oh, well, thank you so very much, Ambassador Roy Omien Oviedeve. We sincerely appreciate your time with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I wait my form to join the military. Don't worry. We'll look at that later.
I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you.
All right, let's get to the next conversation. Thank you so very much again, Ambassador Roy. The next conversation quickly. Prices of Gari yam on the staple food spikes as Nigeria's food inflation hits 40.87% in the month of June. Let's look into this conversation when we return after this quick break. Stay with us.